Hey everyone, it's Tori and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. For today's video, we are going to be setting up my bullet journal for May 2025. As you can see from my planning page where I plan out my headers, color palette, and everything I need to plan out my themes each month, we're going with a flower theme, specifically daffodils, tulips, and lilies, and I'll be getting into the reasoning for focusing on these a little later. But before we get into May's spreads, let's take a look to see how April is going so far. For April, I did an origami theme, which is a recreation of an origami theme I did in April of 2020. I really love this refresh, and if you missed this plan with me, I will have it linked in the cards for you to check out. I also found some origami stickers from Hubman and Chubgirl, which is one of my favorite sticker shops out there, and I used those to create my favorite Dutch Door weekly spread layouts for April. After flipping through last month, let's get into the supplies I used to create my bullet journal spreads for May. For this month's supplies, I used a few calligraph pens from Archer and Olive for coloring my spreads, plus also one Tombow dual brush pen in the color 942. My Sakura Pigma Micron fine liners were used for outlining and numbering. These pastel washi tapes are from Amazon. I used my Tombow Fudonosuke soft tip brush pen to color in these alphabet stamps and put my headers on these craft paper sticky notes, all from Amazon. And last but not least, this stencil is from Archer and Olive. Everything will be linked down below if I can find it, and without further ado, let's get into my May cover page. I mentioned in my last few plan with me's that I'll be recreating or taking inspiration from a past theme of mine for every month in 2025. And just to give you a little background, I've been doing flower themes for May every single year that I've been bullet journaling, with the exception of a random banana bread theme I did in 2020. In 2019, which was my first year bullet journaling, I did a lilies theme. May 2021 was a cherry blossom theme. May 2022 was a tulip theme, May 2023 was a daffodil theme, and May 2024 was a hydrangea theme. So I kind of wanted to stay on brand with these flowers going on, and for my cover page for May this year, I wanted to do a bouquet of some of the flowers I've already focused on for my past themes, specifically lilies from 2019, tulips from 2022, and daffodils from 2023. I just feel like these were the flowers that fit best together in a bouquet style spread, but don't worry, I have cherry blossom stickers that I got from Hubman and Chubgirl to use in my weekly spreads this month to pay homage to May of 2021. I feel like I'm saying years a lot right now. I didn't really feel like I needed to include hydrangeas since I literally just did that theme last year, and with that being said, all of the themes I'm picking from to recreate for 2025 will actually not be anything I did last year. I really want to deep dive into like those OG themes from a few years ago that made me fall in love with bullet journaling in the first place. But getting back to my cover page, I'm coloring everything in right now using my Archer and Olive calligraph pens. The yellow shade is called Peach, the orange shade is called Dusty Rose, and the green is Marsh Green, which has been one of my favorite calligraph pens for years, and it's unfortunately starting to dry out. I started struggling with that later in this video, and I can't even get it again because it was in a subscription box back in like 2022 or something. But after adding in some washi tape that I end up taking off later and also stamping out my May header on that craft paper with my alphabet stamps, that is my cover page complete, and it's time to move over to the left, which is my dashboard spread. My dashboard is basically a place just for me to plan my goals for each month. I have a bunch of boxes that look like little notes all over my spread, and I just love how this looks like a bunch of reminders on sticky notes or like papers pinned up or taped up on a board or something. I have space to write what I want to crochet in May, and I've been market prepping a ton, but I still have not signed up for a market yet. I said that in my last plan with me. Yeah, still haven't signed up for one yet, but I'm making a lot of plushies, and I just want to make sure I have a bunch ready to go for when I do eventually sign up for those markets. And below that is where I'm going to write what I want to read this month, which is mainly continuing on with the Throne of Glass series, which I've been really enjoying this year. I just finished Queen of Shadows, which I'm pretty sure is the 5th book, and I finished that a couple days ago. That is definitely my favorite book of the series so far, and I'm hoping to get into both Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn next month. I think I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in my May reading journal setup, which will be my next video next week, so keep an eye out for that. The 2 other notes are for a general to-do list, which usually turns into videos I need to prep and film, and also a mini calendar in the top left to really just fill in some space. The decoration on this page is a daffodil at the bottom left corner, and I wanted to add in something else above that, so I looked at my vision board from this year to pull a quote from it, and I found "Romanticize your life," which I thought was perfect because of our cute little bouquet over on the cover. I don't know, I just think flowers are very romantic, and it's important to enjoy the little things in life that make you happy. And with my dashboard spread complete, let's move over to my calendar for May. For my calendar, I went with a large grid layout where each box is 6 Docker spaces across and 6 spaces down, which gave me just enough room for me to write events and bills and other notable things going on in my calendar spread from the last few months, so I'm deciding to carry that same size grid layout into this month and probably for the rest of the year if we're being honest. I used my 05 Sakura Pigma Micron pen to go over my penciled grid lines, and I typically use that size for outlining my doodles and decorations, but for the flowers, I'm actually going to use a 02 nib size. I did the same thing in my spreads last month with the outlines in my 05 and my origami doodles in 03. Although I couldn't find the 03, I think I ran out of it, so I grabbed a 02. I liked the variety of outline thickness, so I'm carrying that style over into this month as well. I'm starting to color in those flowers down the right side with my calligraphs, and I really like how these flowers look so bright and springy. I've actually been going back and forth trying to decide if I want to add in some freckles to those lilies, because I feel like they're missing something. I'd either use like a darker burnt orange or like a brown or something, just to add in something extra. But also, I have a horrible habit of adding in too much to a spread that looked better with less going on, so I'm scared I'm just gonna ruin the spreads. But let me know your thoughts for the lilies, freckles or no freckles. And after adding in my alphabet stamps for the days of the week and my numbers with my 005 Sakura Pigma Micron, that is my calendar spread complete for May, and we are moving over to some trackers. On the left page is my habit tracker, and I'm starting out by highlighting 9 spaces to write my habits I'm tracking this month. I'm also using these habit grid stickers that match the layout of my calendar spread perfectly, and I've been saying it in every plan with me, but these were made by my sister, who actually made me stickers for each month this year for my habit trackers and my weekly spreads. She doesn't sell these, unfortunately, they were just gifted to me, so I don't have anywhere to direct you to get these if you want them for yourself, but I'm really grateful to her for making these for me because they've been coming in really handy, so I don't have to make 9 grids every single time I make a habit tracker. And after doodling in some tulips as a little border down at the bottom of the spread to keep this theme going, it's time to move over to the right side, which is my gratitude log. For my gratitude log, I'm doing my grid layout that I've done pretty much every single month this year, and this is a layout originally inspired by Tracy Tyler Rebel. My boxes for this spread are 8 dot grid spaces across and 3 down, and I have a total of 31 grid spaces on this page to write one thing I'm grateful for each day this month. I like to keep the spread super simple and open so I have a bunch of space to write in every single day, so that's why my fern doodle at the bottom corner is kind of going off the page. So it's not covering up a whole box, but it's still keeping with the theme this month. Now it's time to get into my anxiety-related spreads for May. For my stress and health log, I have a space at the top to write what I'm stressed about each day, whether it's one thing or a couple things. And at the bottom is where I'm writing anything going on health-wise that doesn't really happen on a normal day, like if I'm sick or if I get my period, headaches, stomach aches, all that kind of stuff. I just like to have a separate space to write these kind of things when I'm referring to my anxiety tracker, which will be over on the right. My anxiety tracker is actually directly inspired by the one I made back in May of 2023. I've been doing super doodly anxiety trackers this year, but sometimes I just don't want to draw out 31 flowers, okay? I was also thinking about doing another bouquet situation, like basically a recreation of my cover page where I color in one petal or one leaf every day, but sometimes I love a good line graph, so that's what we're rolling with for this month. The numbers 0 through 5 down the y-axis represent how high my anxiety gets each day, and the numbers 1 through 31 on the x-axis represent each day of the month. So say I'm feeling a little anxious one day, I'll put a dot on like 1 or 2 on that day, depending how I define a little anxious, and I'll be connecting all of the dots in the line graph format like how I did here in May of 2023. This used to be a go-to anxiety tracker for me back in the day, so I like to bring it back every so often. After adding in some final touches, that is my anxiety tracker complete, and we are heading over to the last spread of this setup, which is my monthly review. My monthly review is a place for me to sum everything up from the month, and I'm starting out with some flower doodles at the top that I'll be pasting a header that says remembering layered on top of these. My remembering section is just a place for me to write highlights from May and add in a Polaroid picture of a photo I took this month, and I just print that out on my Instax printer from my phone. At the bottom left, you'll see a section titled Loving, and that's where I'll write everything I love during this month that aren't already in the categories of watching, reading, or listening to over on the right. At the top of the page, you'll see 3 TVs where I'll write a movie I loved, show I watched, and a YouTube channel I've been watching a ton of. In my reading section, I have 3 books where I'll write the titles of each book I finished this month, and also color in my personal star rating of each book. And then at the bottom right, there will be a couple things shoved together, which is an area titled Listening To, where I write a few songs I've loved listening to this month, as well as something I crocheted and something that I cooked over in the boxes at the bottom right. And after coloring some things in, adding a couple more headers, that is the last spread of my May Plan With Me complete, and we can now get into the final flip through of this video. We are now entering the final flip through portion of today's video, and I want to encourage you all to comment down below what your theme is for May this year, and also a flower emoji if you made it to the end. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Also, don't forget to check out my bullet journal social medias. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!